Right now, there are places on this planet that even the people living closest to them refuse to believe are real. Not hidden underground, not locked behind fences, but places, in plain sight, that look so impossible, so alien, that even locals still stop and stare. Places where the land itself feels unnatural, where colors seem too vivid to be real, and where the silence carries something unsettling. Some were shaped by forces so violent, they scarred the earth forever. Others were built by civilizations, using methods we still don't fully understand. And a few are so strange that they have forced scientists to question what they thought they knew about our world. These are not myths, they are real places that challenge everything we believe about Earth itself. This is our countdown of the most unbelievable places on Earth. Number 10. Meteora, Greece. In central Greece, about 200 miles northwest of Athens, a forest of massive sandstone pillars rises abruptly from the earth, like the remains of an ancient world, frozen in time. These towering formations, some reaching over 1,000 feet into the sky, were shaped over millions of years by wind, water, and powerful earthquakes. Their narrow bases and sheer vertical faces make them appear almost unnatural, as if they were placed there rather than formed. But the pillars themselves are not the most unbelievable part. What truly defies explanation are the structures built on top of them. Starting in the 14th century, Greek Orthodox monks climbed these near impossible heights, using ropes, wooden ladders, and hand-operated pulley systems. And at the very summits, they constructed entire monasteries. Not small shelters, but full stone complexes, with chapels, living quarters, water storage systems, and libraries that have preserved manuscripts for centuries. They built these sanctuaries during times of constant war, to create places that could not be reached by invaders. For hundreds of years, the only way up was to be lifted in a rope net, dangling hundreds of feet above the ground. And when visitors once asked the monks how often those ropes were replaced, the answer was unsettling: only when they broke. Today, a handful of these monasteries still remain, standing at the edge of the sky. And even now, as thousands of people stand below, looking up in disbelief, one question still remains: how did they build that up there? Number 9. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. In the northeastern corner of Ethiopia, where three tectonic plates are slowly pulling the earth apart, there exists a landscape so extreme that scientists have compared it to the surface of another planet. The Danakil Depression lies over 400 feet below sea level, making it one of the lowest places on Earth. But it is not the depth that makes this place so extraordinary. It is what happens to everything that exists here. Surface temperatures regularly rise above 130 degrees Fahrenheit, turning the ground into a hostile environment, where survival feels almost impossible. The land is covered in bright yellow sulfur fields, neon green acid pools, and vast salt plains, stretching for miles in every direction. From deep cracks in the earth, toxic gases escape without warning, filling the air with fumes that can become deadly in seconds. There is almost no drinkable water, no shade, and no relief from the heat. And yet, people live here. For centuries, the Afar people have called this place home, mining salt by hand, cutting blocks directly from the ground, and carrying them across the desert, just as their ancestors once did. For them, this is not a place of mystery, but a way of life. But even they know, there are areas here where no one goes. Acid pools capable of destroying anything that touches them, and vents releasing gases strong enough to kill before they are even noticed. Scientists, including teams from NASA, study this region closely because these extreme conditions are the closest match on Earth to the surface of Mars. If life can survive here, and incredibly, it does, then life could exist far beyond our planet. But the people who live here have always understood something deeper. This is a place where the Earth itself seems to reject life. And yet, life refuses to leave. Number 8. Zhangjiajie, China. In the Hunan province of southeastern China, there is a landscape that feels almost unreal. A place where the earth rises straight into the sky, in towering stone columns. Across this vast region, hundreds of towering stone pillars shoot straight up from the valley floor, some rising over 1,000 feet into the air. From a distance, they appear impossibly thin, as if they should not be able to stand at all. And when thick mist fills the air, their bases disappear completely, leaving only their forest-covered tops floating above the clouds. It is a sight that feels more like another world than something found on Earth. These formations were created over hundreds of millions of years as softer rock eroded away, leaving behind vertical columns, where trees eventually took root. Some of these pillars are connected by natural stone bridges, so narrow that crossing them feels like walking on air, with nothing but a massive drop below. Along one cliff, a glass-bottom walkway stretches across the edge, suspended thousands of feet above the ground. Every step reveals nothing beneath you but open space. For generations, the local Zhangjiajie people have lived here, their stories filled with spirits, said to move through the mist-covered peaks. And even today, when the clouds rise, and the pillars seem to float in silence, it becomes easy to believe this place does not belong to our world at all, but somewhere far beyond it. Number 7. Son Dong Cave, Vietnam. In 1991, deep within the jungles of central Vietnam, a local farmer named Ho Con heard something strange. A powerful sound, like wind being pulled into the earth, coming from a hidden opening along a limestone cliff. The entrance was small, partially covered by dense vegetation, and beyond it, a steep drop into darkness. With no way to explore further, he left, but never forgot. For years, he searched for it again, through thick jungle and confusing terrain, but the entrance seemed to disappear. It would take nearly 20 years before he found it once more. In 2009, a British expedition team, led by Howard Limbert, returned with him to the site. What they discovered was beyond anything they expected. Hidden behind that narrow opening was the largest cave ever found on Earth. Son Dong stretches for over 5 miles, with chambers so vast they could hold entire city blocks. In places where the ceiling collapsed, sunlight pours inside, allowing a dense jungle to grow deep within the cave itself. Trees rise toward the light, and mist forms in the air, creating its own weather system. A river flows through the cavern, alongside underground lakes, glowing with a deep emerald color. And scattered across the cave floor are formations that took hundreds of thousands of years to form. Today, access is strictly limited to protect this fragile environment. Because even small changes could destroy something that existed long before human history. And yet, for generations, this entire hidden world remained unknown, lying beneath waiting to be discovered by chance. Number 6. Kawah Ijen, Indonesia. If you are still watching, you already understand that some places on Earth push the limits of what seems possible. And from this point on, they only become more unbelievable. On the eastern edge of Java, there is a volcano that produces something found almost nowhere else on Earth. At night, its slopes come alive with an intense electric blue glow. A sight so surreal, it feels like something from another world. But this is not lava. It is fire. Deep within the crater, sulfuric gases escape from cracks in the earth at temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Fahrenheit. As these gases rise into the air, they ignite instantly, creating bright blue flames that can reach several feet high. Molten sulfur flows down the rock face, also burning blue, forming what looks like glowing rivers, streaming through the darkness. But this phenomenon can only be seen in complete darkness, which means witnessing it requires a climb in the middle of the night through steep and unstable terrain. And while the view is extraordinary, the reality here is far more brutal. Every day, miners descend deep into the crater to extract sulfur by hand. They carry heavy loads, sometimes over 150 pounds, balanced across their shoulders, climbing back up through dense clouds of toxic gas, often with little protection. At the bottom of the crater sits one of the most acidic lakes on Earth, its surface glowing a vivid turquoise. Beautiful, but highly corrosive to anything that touches it. For the people who live nearby, this is not just a spectacle. It is a way of life. And even after seeing it countless times, they still say, the blue fire takes their breath away, sometimes more literally than they intend. Number 5. Abraham Lake, Canada. In the Canadian Rockies of Alberta, there is a man-made lake that transforms every winter into something almost unreal. At first glance, it looks completely frozen, calm, silent, surrounded by snow-covered mountains. But beneath the surface, something unusual is happening. Abraham Lake was created in 1972, after a dam was built across a powerful river, a simple project, with no expectation of anything extraordinary. Yet over time, the lake revealed a hidden phenomenon. At the bottom, organic material slowly decomposes, releasing methane gas. In warmer months, this gas rises and escapes into the air. But in winter, as the surface freezes, the methane becomes trapped. Bubbles of gas freeze in layers, one above another, forming stacks of white disks, suspended inside crystal-clear ice. The result is something almost surreal. Walking across the lake feels like standing on glass, with thousands of frozen bubbles visible beneath your feet. It looks less like Earth, and more like a window into another world. But there is something most visitors don't realize. Methane is highly flammable. The gas trapped under the ice can ignite if released. In controlled demonstrations, when the ice is pierced and the gas escapes, it can burst into flame, rising into the cold air from a frozen surface. A lake of ice producing fire. It is both beautiful and quietly dangerous. And even for those who live nearby, who have seen it many times, it still feels almost impossible to believe that something like this can truly exist. Number 4. Vatnajökull Glacier, Iceland. Iceland is a land of extremes, where fire and ice exist side by side, in ways that seem to defy the rules of nature. And nowhere is that contrast more visible than at Vatnajökull, the largest glacier in Europe. Covering thousands of square miles, this massive lead sheet stretches across the landscape, with ice that reaches depths of over 3,000 feet. But what makes this place truly extraordinary is not what you see on the surface. It is what lies beneath. Hidden below the glacier are multiple active volcanoes, constantly shaping the land from underneath. When these volcanoes erupt, they do not break through the surface in flames. Instead, they release heat beneath the ice, melting vast amounts of water in a very short time. The result is a sudden and violent flood, known as a glacial outburst. Walls of water, rushing across the land, carrying massive chunks of ice, and destroying everything in their path. These events can happen with little to no warning. But not all of Vatnajökull is destructive. In winter, a different transformation begins. Meltwater rivers carve tunnels through the ice, forming caves of incredible beauty. Inside, the walls glow in deep shades of blue, as sunlight filters through the lead, creating a surreal, almost otherworldly atmosphere. But these caves are temporary. They shift, collapse, and disappear with the changing seasons. A cave that exists today may be gone within months. For the people who live nearby, Vatnajökull is both a gift and a constant threat. It provides water, draws visitors from around the world, and creates some of the most breathtaking scenery on Earth. But it also rests on top of powerful forces that can reshape entire landscapes in a matter of hours. Living here means accepting one simple truth: the ground beneath you is never truly still. Number 3. The Pyramids of Giza, Egypt. You already know what the pyramids look like. You've seen them in photos, in documentaries, in movies. But seeing them, and truly understanding them, are two completely different things. The Great Pyramid was built over 4,500 years ago, rising nearly 500 feet into the sky, constructed from millions of stone blocks, each weighing several tons. Some of the largest stones, deep within its inner chambers, weigh as much as 80 tons. The base covers a massive area, yet remains almost perfectly level, with astonishing precision. These numbers alone are difficult to comprehend, but what makes this structure truly extraordinary is not just its size. It is how it was built. According to ancient accounts, the pyramid may have been completed in just a few decades. If that is true, it would mean placing massive stone blocks every few minutes for years without pause. Modern engineers have proposed many theories: ramps, sledges, complex systems of movement, but even today, no single explanation has been fully accepted. And then, there is the precision. The pyramid's sides are aligned almost perfectly with true north. Its proportions closely match mathematical relationships that were not formally defined until thousands of years later. Whether intentional or not remains a mystery. What is certain is that a civilization, without modern tools, without advanced machinery, created a structure that stood as the tallest on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. For the people who live nearby, these pyramids are part of everyday life. They see them constantly, work around them, guide visitors through them. And yet, even they will tell you, the more you learn about how these structures were built, the less you feel like you truly understand them. Number 2. Angel Falls, Venezuela. Deep within the jungles of southeastern Venezuela, hidden inside Canema National Park, there is a waterfall so tall that it almost doesn't behave like one at all. From the summit of a massive flat-topped mountain, known as Aoyan Tepui, water plunges more than 3,000 feet, making it the tallest waterfall on Earth. But from that height, something unusual begins to happen. As the water falls, it starts to break apart, transforming into mist, long before it ever reaches the ground. On windy days, the falling water is carried sideways, scattered into the air, until the waterfall seems to disappear completely. At times, it looks less like flowing water, and more like clouds, drifting down from the sky. For centuries, this place remained unknown to the outside world, hidden deep within the jungle, surrounded by terrain that few could reach. It was not until the early 20th century that it was finally seen from above, by a pilot searching for something else entirely. When he returned, attempting to land on the mountain's summit, his aircraft became trapped, forcing him to escape on foot, crossing miles of dense jungle for days just to survive. Even today, reaching this waterfall is not simple. There are no roads, no easy routes, only a journey through remote wilderness, by air, by river, and on foot. The mountain itself is incredibly ancient, its summit isolated for millions of years, creating an environment unlike anywhere else. For those who finally arrive and witness it with their own eyes, one thing becomes clear: this is not just a waterfall. It is something far more surreal. A place where water falls from the sky, breaks apart into mist, and disappears before it ever touches the earth. Number 1. Movile Cave, Romania, and now, the place that even scientists still struggle to fully believe exists. In 1986, during routine testing near a construction site, workers accidentally broke through into something completely sealed off from the rest of the world. For over 5 million years, what they discovered would go on to challenge everything we thought we understood about life on Earth. Movile Cave is unlike any cave ever found. The air inside is toxic, filled with hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, with oxygen levels far below what humans can survive. Without specialized equipment, entering the cave would be fatal. To reach its depths, you must descend through a narrow vertical shaft, dropping into total darkness. And what exists below should not be possible. Completely cut off from sunlight for millions of years, this cave developed its own independent ecosystem. Not powered by sunlight, but by chemistry. At the base of the food chain, microorganisms generate energy through chemical reactions, feeding on toxic gases. And from this, an entire world emerged. Dozens of species, found nowhere else on Earth. Creatures with no eyes, translucent bodies, and adaptations shaped entirely by darkness. Spiders, insects, and organisms that have never seen light, not once, in their entire existence. Nothing inside this cave has had contact with the outside world since long before humans existed. While civilizations rose and fell above, this hidden ecosystem continued evolving in complete isolation. Even today, only a handful of people have ever been allowed inside, because a single mistake could destroy what took millions of years to develop. Scientists study this cave because it represents something far greater, a model for how life might exist on other worlds. If life can survive here, in darkness, in toxicity, cut off from everything, then life may exist far beyond our planet, and just a few miles away, people live their daily lives completely unaware that beneath their feet, an entirely separate world has been evolving by completely different rules. Even now, most still find it hard to believe, and maybe that's the most unsettling part of all, because every place you've seen today, from burning landscapes to floating mountains to hidden worlds beneath the earth, they are all real. They all exist on this planet right now, and they all prove the same thing: we have only just begun to understand what our world is truly capable of. So now the question is, which place shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you made it this far, you already know this channel is for you. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because